Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone. Dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted.
That was the great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with I normally give, Easy the introduction, but he's a guest. It's going to be a little bit weird today, but he's my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, behind the brand, WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, and I am with the infamous Shane Penguin. Unfortunately, we're missing one member. Am I right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay.
He actually, Shane called him up this morning. He had some stuff that he has to take care of. We don't ask questions. When Shane calls, we get up and we go do it. He's handling that. If he shows up, he shows up. If not, he was with me the whole time.
Gotcha. He's
okay.
With everybody in the spirit right now. And
exactly.
Easy Bluez, I correct me if I'm wrong. This is pretty much your second family. Am I correct?
This is definitely my second family. These are people that I love with such my heart, my soul. Like, I am the most myself and I am the freest because these guys are so awesome. So I love them.
Gotcha.
I love them.
Let's go around the table. John, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. This Shane Penguin is also my second family. He's my support group, my collaborators, my co-conspirators. I'm feeling great. I am in the middle of some things, but they're good things. But I am just feeling really excited. It's a big day over at Shane at SPHQ. We got our new single out today. We got a show tonight. But look, I don't want to skip ahead to the lead. We're in introduction.
This is about you. I mean, you can promote anything you want. It's usually about this show, Behind the Brand, myself, and the somewhat guest we have right now, Easy Bluez.
Okay.
Always highlight the promo.
Right. Speaking of the promo, look at Preston's shirt. You can get that at Bandcamp, or if you come to the show at 10 Selden tonight, you can get them there as well. Just saying.
Yes.
Kenny,
join the Penguin Club.
Oh, I'm great. I'm killer. I'm loving today.
Thank you for being with us, guys. I just want to get to know you a little bit. I feel like I'm knowing you guys for like the first time. I've seen you guys perform. It's crazy. I remember one performance that you guys had at Stella Blues where you performed, I believe it was the entrance or like the original theme of Zelda. It was really weird but entertaining at the same time. And I really thought you guys just knocked it out the park. And I think one thing I love about the whole entire band in itself, and I'm not just saying it because my friend Easy's in this band, you guys are never afraid to be outside the box. You guys are always want to be experimental when it comes to your art. And I appreciate that. I mean, like, even in between sets, I think when you guys had, like, I think it was either the Cellar or some other venue. It was a couple years back, pre-coronavirus.
Four times.
About 4 times. I lost count. But anyway, you guys, in between sets, I mean, you guys were just experimenting with different notes and you were flowing. It was just a nice organic flow. Now, I just want to know, tell me about how everybody just met. Tell me about like just everybody just coming together and forming this idea of Shane Penguin. And matter of fact, I'm going to add another question to it. Why the name Shane Penguin? Why put a penguin in your name? Go right ahead, gentlemen. One of you can start this awesome answer.
John, you tell our origin story the best, sir. So why don't you start the origin story, Tom?
All right. So there is in the Elm City a really fantastic music community. I gotta say, I came here from major Midwest city, and in a lot of places, local band scene, local musician scene they treat it like a zero-sum game, right? Like, oh, you got this gig, so we didn't, and it's a little cutthroat, and that can be how it is in a lot of places. In New Haven, that is not the case. We are a community, and we're happy to come together and play. And one of the big sort of organizing events of the musical space in New Haven has been the Idiot Village's Rock Lottery, which is something that happens every year. And this is honestly like one of my favorite experiences as a musician. They let anybody who wants to try and do something experimental with music give their name and their instrument. They write it down. They put it in a hat. Everybody meets up at Cafe 9, and they pull names out of a hat, and you get assigned to be in a band with a bunch of strangers. And you might be yourself, like a punk drummer, and then get put in a band with like a jazz bassist and like an industrial music listening keyboard player and, a guitar guy who does like acoustic, shows at Geronimo Mexican or whatever. And the thing that's really cool about that from a musician standpoint is every band, and here, this is like I'm getting less out of the things that everybody knows, and this is kind of maybe a little bit opinion too. Any band is kind of like this this weird secret recipe of like the musical influences and the identity and the ego of everybody who's involved, right? So with Rock Lottery, you never know what is going to happen. And I play bass in Shane Penguin. I've been playing bass for 24 years now.
Cool.
But when the Rock Lottery founders discovered that I played drums as well, turns out drummers are people are willing to pay a premium for drummers. Not that I make any money, but but I got assigned to be in a band with 3 other strangers, one of whom was Easy, who was our singer. And so we vibed with each other in a band called the Chest Rockwells. If you want to learn a little bit more about the saga and the odyssey of the Chest Rockwells, there's actually an hour-long documentary about Rock Lottery, the year that we were in it. Yeah. Okay. And you can find it on Vimeo. I don't have the link handy, but so, Easy and I were kind of like in conversation, but Easy was also talking to the guitarist from another one of the Rock Lottery bands, our currently distant friend Tristan. And he really wanted to work on some songs with them as well. And Easy knew Kenny, our faithful drummer, through like a external sort of society kind of thing. So we decided to come together in our buddy's basement and just jam some demos that Easy and Tristan had been working on. And day 1, it was like, all right, we'll figure this out. But day 2, day 3, day 4, we got in this sort of recognition that like, hey, we all have some very different musical backgrounds. Right. And there is some very interesting alchemy that is happening when we sort of combine these 4 flavors, let's say. Oh, yeah. And so from there, we kind of realized like, well, all right, let's start playing some shows. We played a show in the basement of our friend band out in Milford in April 2019. Okay. And we just had this moment of like, oh, right. Turns out we all really love being on stage too. Okay, let's see where this goes. And I'll leave it to Easy to share the story of Shane Penguin, because I think, it's his baby. But all I'll say, leaving it that, is I used to think Shane Penguin is a band name, and now I realize it's not a band name, it's not a brand, it's an ethos. It's something you subscribe to. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll toss it to Easy.
I'm gonna take the headphones off for this. Give me 1 second.
Go right ahead, man. Take your time, brother.
All right. So when Tristan came over and we started writing and different things like that, like the first day, we've written like 3 or 4 songs we flushed out. And I was like, oh, this is actually going to go somewhere. And then we had Kenny come over, was jamming with Kenny. And I remember calling John, and I was like, John, I want a band. And I was like, and you play bass. He's like, well, I'm in. Okay. I'll come down. I'll see what it is. I don't want to play drums. I'll play bass. I was like, no, we got drums. It's good. But yeah, the name Shane Penguin, it was actually on like one of the last names on the list. Like we're like, oh, we're super artsy. We're going to be artsy and experimental, and it's going to be amazing. And Tristan and I are going back and forth with names, and every name, that's the most beautiful thing about Tristan, is he's really blunt when he doesn't like it. He's like, no, that sucks. He's like, he's like, how dare you bring that to me as a name? You should smack yourself. This is horrible. You know? And I was like, I got so frustrated. I was like, well, then we should just call ourselves Shame Penguin. And he goes, no, I like that idea. There is a story behind it, and there's two different stories. And the story I'm going to give you, because we're on terrestrial radio, is Shame, who is our manager. He's our stuff. He's our penguin. He comes on stage with us. He's 3 foot tall. Shame, well, he had a rough childhood growing up in New Haven. He became part of the Yakuza. And the last time that he got picked up by New Haven PD, it was actually in with the judge that he had. It was in his release that he had to do some community service, and he had to pretty much take under the wing these 4 souls that were just wayward in existence, and he had to help mold us into the amazing musical force you see in front of you. Well, 3 of us. The other one is doing some business with Shame. I
understand.
And that's kind of what happened. And we knew we were on to something with Shame Penguin, which again to me was a joke from jump.
Right.
The first time we played Stella Blues, and Kenny brings a stuffed penguin. And Preston, you've known me for a long time.
I have.
I can't like not take up a dare or like, oh, this seems absolutely ridiculous. I should totally do this. So I grab the penguin and I just start walking through Stella Blues with the penguin all night long. Like all night long. So much so that like one drunk female was like, have you been touched? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, no, I'm in the band Shame Penguin. This is Shame. What's going on? And you know, so I was like, okay, we're on to something here. And then we play the set. I dance around with Shame, go through the place, kind of like be a little ridiculous. And then the touring act, this amazing group called Babe Patrol. Mm-hmm. She mentioned, she was like, hey, I'm usually the one that dances my butt off up here, but I feel like I have to now out dance Shame Penguin. And is there any way I can get the penguin and dance with the penguin? And I looked at Kenny and Kenny looked at me and we're like, no, this is it. We've hit something golden. So
that was the start of the promos. That was the start of all the promos and the stuff on Facebook and Instagram and just flowing every back and forth. All right, we'll let you continue. I just want
that was everything. Hold on one second. I'm going to try to put the headphones back on. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay, it's all good, man. It's all good.
All
right. That was a very interesting penguin origin story, if I can say at least. That's probably the only penguin origin story I'll probably hear. But
for now. But for the people listening at home, we have a goal in mind. And when I say we, I haven't run it by the guys, but I feel that we want to play the Mystic Aquarium. So hashtag Shame Penguin plays the Mystic Aquarium. Let's make this trending. Let's make it happen. I want to play with some real penguins. Like they can be, I don't want to be in the thing because they might get mad at us, but like I'll play like outside the thing. And I think it'd be awesome. Hashtag Shame Penguin plays the Mystic Aquarium. Let's get that trending.
That could be a good music video. That could be a very interesting music video. Kenny.
So
yes. Were you about to say something, gentlemen?
I was going to say, Kenny, what was your opinion on how everything?
I was just about to get to that. We just think alike. I would love to know more about Kenny. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, it's been an interesting ride. I mean, I was really excited when Dustin asked me to join Shame. Mm-hmm. It was just like a call in left field. He was just like, hey, do you want to jam down in the basement? And I'm like, okay, let's try something new.
Right.
And we jammed, and next thing you know, we made a little magic happen just on the cajon and some acoustic guitars. And they said, okay, well, let's try an actual practice with actual instruments. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be exciting. And the next thing you know, magic happened when John came in the room. Mm-hmm. And Shame Penguin was born.
Now, Kenny, are you from Connecticut? Because we got John from the Midwest, Easy from Long Island, and we got Tristan from France. Are you the only person originated from Connecticut, or are you from somewhere else?
Yeah, I originally grew up in Milford, Connecticut.
Awesome. So you're the one person from the state of Connecticut that's in Shame Penguin who originated in Connecticut. So that's pretty.
Shame is from New Haven. Shame is from New Haven. Dude, look, I'm not getting a kendo stick beaten because you didn't address shame the right way. I have taken way too many kendo sticks to the back for stuff like this. He is from New Haven.
He's gonna make us walk back from the show tonight if you put us in any more trouble.
Yeah, seriously, man. For real. We're sorry, Shame. He didn't know. He didn't know. I'll send the better bio next time. I'm sorry.
My apologies to the Penguin. Now, Tristan is a very interesting artist. He does a lot of paintings, a lot of artwork for you guys. Now, were there in talks of a Shame Penguin comic book? Because it's the way just the animation is, just like with the cover art and just stuff like that. Just please tell me, guys.
You know, like we've talked about the art book, but we're actually holding out. I know I probably shouldn't be talking about this right now, but we've been in talks with Netflix to do like a 3-episode OVA of just Shame's experience entering and leaving the Yakuza in New Haven. So I'm sorry, I might have blown up the deal, but you know, I don't know. For what it's worth, like Penguins can play pretty hard at the bargaining table. So, you know, it might not be the end, but that is what Tristan's been working on. You know, one thing he hasn't slept in 3 days because he's had to put together a bunch of storyboards for it. But you know, well, it's a little too early to say, but eventually that's the hope. We might go straight to theaters, but we'll see what Netflix wants to do.
I got the awesome Shame Penguin on WNHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, behind the brand with myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made. His second family, Shame Penguin, is in the building. Tell me about Fall of the Mountain King. That was a very great video that you guys had when you had Dustin's children out there. And it was a great, interesting story you guys had as to well with that video. And it got so, you know, popular, that video. You guys had your own article on New Haven Independent. So please tell me, guys, about your experience, each and every one of you. Go right ahead.
Kenny,
well,
you take
the songs. Oh yeah, why don't you start? You start, Kenny. Go ahead.
Well, Fall of the Mountain King. The music video was, well, it was Dustin's idea.
Okay.
And when he came up with the idea and threw it out to us, I was like, oh well, this is definitely going to be a really, really, really interesting music video. I can't wait to see how it looks out. And next thing you know, we have a music video, and I think it looks pretty good. And then
amazing.
Just the response that we got just blew my mind in general too. Like, I can't believe that just the views alone in the 2 weeks that we just posted it was like, my gosh, there's really something here.
Yeah, it was very well done. John, your take on it.
Yeah, so I was so happy that we got to sort of express Easy's vision for the video. Now the thing, like, I'm sure you've been pretty well exposed to Easy's musical pursuits generally, but he is absolutely like a storyteller. Dude is not always inhabiting his own shoes necessarily, but you feel a perspective from every song that's happened. And I really appreciate that that he is straight up like an emotionally honest individual. That's like one of the most important things that you can get in society nowadays. And you know, the lyrics of Fall on the Mountain King came from like a really personal place, and it was really wonderful to sort of hear that. I was not like on set during the day, so I didn't know kind of like how this was going to work out. But man, when I watched the video, I did not expect to be crying at the end, but I was like, I sent it to my wife, and she also was like tearing up by the end, and it's just like, all right, people get it. I don't know. I gotta say, like, it really, the lyrics tell a story that is written into the music, and the video shares the story of those lyrics. So it is really cool to see that kind of continuity between like the audio and the video and the textual, you know?
Definitely. Easy, man. Tell me how it felt to have your kids in the video. Go right ahead.
First, before we even get to that, the song started in our buddy's basement with John doing this incredible bass riff. And we just started building off of that. And that was the first song where we threw out all traditional songwriting rules. We're like, no. And the reason why we even call the song Fall of the Mountain King is because the structure of the song is you have the climb and then you have the descent, and it looks like a mountain. And it was just, it's such an incredible experience. And then from there, they afforded this incredible backdrop to paint a mirror reflection, bizarro world story on what society tells us life should be to what the reality of what life it really is. And it's a matter of finding the peace in between that. That's something that I grew up with. It's something that I fully understand. It's something that I fully embraced. Little did I know, a couple months later, I would make connections with my paternal family, the Monfortis, love them to death. And then they're like, oh, you're a musician. What should you do? And I just send them that video. And I'm like, ooh, my bad. I'm okay. Really, I am. And before we get, like, I love everyone giving me credit for the music video, but like with anything artistic, obviously we filter it through Tristan as well. And I remember, like, at first we were going to release a different song as a single, and we're sitting in the studio with Vic Steffens, the absolutely amazing Vic Steffens, and he plays Mountain King, and I'm like, yo, he's about to tell us that this is going to be a single. And as per traditional radio, there's no reason why that song should be a single at all. Like they're like, no, you're not going to hear that on typical pop radio. It's not a 3-minute ditty. It's not, it's got all these layers. And, Vic's like, hey, you guys are a college radio band. That's who you are. So you own that, We're like, okay, cool. So, we leave, Tristan and I leave the studio, and we're like, we have to rethink the entire video plan. Shout out to Rick DiMichele. He is a phenomenal director. His artwork is absolutely incredible. He's such an amazing human being. He was phenomenal with my children on the set. He was giving them advice on like how to film, because Joey, otherwise known as Easy 2.0, he is studying film in school, and was asking him like those full directions, and would then take, my kids got to go to school on Monday and be like, hey, we shot a music video, what's going on? He's like, and Joe, is in his video class, like, they're in, you got to get permits for tripods, so you can get this special stabilizer that you don't have to put it down, so you don't need to get the permit for your shoots. I was like, oh, that's great. I'm glad you learned the punk rock aspect of it. You should probably pay attention in class. But yeah, and so
I just got to interject here to say, like, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that none of the four of us were cool when we were in like grade school or high school, but I really appreciate you trying to give the next generation a little bit of a step up.
Oh yeah, no, I was there's probably people on the like watching this that I went to high school with, and be like, we knew it was different. We didn't know that this is what different was going to be. I have teachers right now that are like, I knew you were going to be something. I just didn't know what it was going to be.
Glad it's something good.
Yeah. So then, Tristan and I go back to his apartment, and, we power through about 3 bottles of wine. And we start like picking apart what the music video, how is it going to be? And, every time we're onto something, Tristan's like, that's garbage. It needs to be more artsy. And I'm like, I hate this so much. But then we came up with this incredible idea, and we're like, okay, this is what it should be. This is how it should represent. And this is the story that should be told. And I was like, and Tristan, this is where the art is, but we also made sure we kept a lot of pop culture references, because what a lot of people don't really realize, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And at the end of the video, that pullback shot is supposed to reference Return of the Jedi, when Luke is partying and he looks over and there's Obi-Wan and his dad and Yoda, like, you got it, dude. That was what I was going for. And so many people have been like, I feel like I've seen this before. I was like, are you a Star Wars fan? They're like, oh, that's where it's from. You touched me in the feels. And it was awesome. Like it was a great experience. You know, the article, I spoke with the amazing Brian Slattery for literally like an hour and 15 minutes, probably giving way too much information. You know, but it was just an incredible experience, and it was such an amazing write up. We've been also written up by Rock Mommy. That blog is incredible. Maurice is absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's been a great ride. You know, so many people have shown up and supported this dream, this vision, this ethos, as John says. And you know, we are like a family, and it's not just the four of us that are a family. You know, our rookery, because we don't call them fans, they're family members. Right. You know, and they've just shown up, whether it be someone be like, hey, you know, X, Y, and Z has a show this day. Why don't you guys go and take care of this? Or, hey, you know, I'm my roots back on Long Island. The amazing Rick Eberly hit me up and was like, hey, I'm gonna play Pretzel Time on my station on Long Island. I was like, really, dude, that means so much to me. Like, thank you so much. You know, or, you know, while we're at practice on Monday, we get a message from Robbie DeRosa. Like, hey, I heard you got a new tune. What do you think about me playing it on Westland's radio station? I was like, dope. It's like, I'll send it to you right now. Sent it to him. And the next morning, waking up and seeing in the messages, great tune. Like, that just means the absolute world. And it really, it's been incredible. Now, don't get me wrong. If we could sell our souls and make millions of dollars doing this, that would be really nice too. But, you know, we're getting the emotional finance from it. And that's
emotional millionaires.
We're emotional millionaires. We are broke AF, as the kids say, but we're emotional millionaires.
Now, easy. Cash is in the suit, your oldest son?
Yeah, my oldest child is
now,
in the suit, yes.
When did you film this? I hope it wasn't summertime in like the big old hot penguin suit.
It was in September.
Okay.
It was a little warm, and they are definitely the MVP of the whole thing, because they stayed in this suit for a very long time. They've also stated that this is the second and last music video they're ever going to want to be in, and that's fine. I respect that. Unlike their brothers, who are about to be TikTok stars as the twin penguins, because I've bought them penguin suits, and we are about to take over TikTok with them dancing to Pretzel Time. And they're for it. They're like, yes, we want to be famous like you, Dad. I was like, first of all, I'm not famous, but I appreciate it. And Miles goes, well, I listen to you on Spotify when I'm supposed to be in class. I was like, no, I'm supposed to be in class.
You couldn't
Dang
even
you, distance learning.
No, you couldn't even be forward to them when you said no. They're promoting you. That's how high they see value in you, Easy.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And you know, one of these days I'm gonna fight Miles. I know that for a fact. I'm training now. You know, what he doesn't realize is his old man likes to cheat. And so does he. So it's gonna be knockout drag out. We're gonna sell the pay-per-view rights though. It's probably to Fight TV. Maybe Trilla. Maybe we'll be on the next Trilla pay-per-view.
Before we talk about your fight and pay-per-view with your own child, let's get back to the actual music. And let's get back to those amazing moments. Tell me how amazing. There's another group question as well too, of how it's like to work with Vic Steffens. Down in West Haven in his studio. How much did you learn from him, guys? John, I'm gonna go right to you.
Yeah, the
bat.
The thing about Vic Steffens. All right, so I've recorded a few records before, but like not nearly as many as I've read about the recording of, and there are kind of like a couple different perspectives on how a producer handles a record. Like you've got like your folks who are just like straight up like the Svengali, like I am moving every little, you know, note in exactly the right place. And that's totally like a bunch of like the Pop Factory sort of folks do that. But, you know, there's increasingly folks who do that on the rock side as well.
Right.
But at the other end of the spectrum, you have kind of like this laissez-faire kind of, you know, hands-off approach to, all right, I'm going to try and document what this band sounds like, which is like, I think in the rock space, like Steve Albini is probably like the guy that people talk about with that. And Vic is a super interesting dude because when you look at the sort of success that he's had and all of these incredible like records that he's worked on that you see at the entryway of his studio, like you have this sense of like, well, look, for somebody to be elevating this diverse array of just like musicians in every genre is like, dude's got to know exactly where to move the chess pieces every time, right? And in practice, it turns out that wasn't actually the case. Like really, he is reactive in a way that I was not expecting. Like I will also say this, and I gotta like again compliments to Tristan as being like the guy who introduced disagreement to the idea of Shane Penguin. Like this is an issue, and I'm sorry, like y'all, you put me on the radio, so I'm gonna do some rambles. But super groups, not that we're a super group, but in a tendency that there are sometimes musical environments like super groups, most notably, where everybody involved is incredible, and then the output is just and it's because everybody loves everybody and nobody wants to say no. Nobody says we want to do better. And I appreciate Tristan is a dude that can call BS when he hears it and has empowered me to say the same thing when time comes. But that is totally like the philosophy that Vic sort of brought to it as well. Like if he hears something that he can tell is wrong, he'll say, let's give it another take, or hey, do you want to try scaling that back a little bit?
Right.
But I gotta say the thing that was so cool about working with Vic was that he helped create a context for all of us of what Shane Penguin sounds like outside of the context of us as four dudes doing our individual jobs, right? Like I know what a bassist sounds like, but now I know what Shane Penguin sounds like. And credit for that, a huge amount of credit for that goes to Vic.
Kenny, what's your take on Vic Steffens?
Well, he is definitely an interesting guy. Let me tell you. When we first walked in the studio, I was looking at all the records right when you walked in, and I'm just standing there going, "Wow, look at the amazing stuff that he's done throughout his career," and just the fact that we're walking into the same studio and going to be making magic. It was an incredible experience. And then when we were actually recording, I come to find out that he's an actual drummer. The pressure was on when I found out that he was a drummer, because I was like, I have to lay down everything perfectly because, sometimes when you have recording artists that, are drummers, they're very critical with some of the things that are being put on the record. So I was, making sure that I didn't mess up. And he was always right there going, "Wow, you're really good. Do you know that?" I'm going, "Yeah, I know that. Thank you." Thank you for that. I appreciate it. But no, he's a great dude. I'm happy that we got to experience his presence, and I'm happy to get to know him and get to know him even more.
That's awesome. Easy Blues, you're up to bat.
Well, okay. Those who know me, I am a huge Blues Brothers fan. I absolutely love Blues Brothers. Right. You walk in the door and there's the gold record for Blues Brothers 2000, the horns for the Mac Guitar Murphy song. Now, Mac Guitar Murphy has recorded records in this very place. I am such a huge Blues Brothers fan. I've heard the records he's recorded there, and I'm freaking out. And inside, I'm like, ah! And I'm like, oh boy, we got to actually like do something. And what other people don't seem to understand is when we went into Horizon Studios, we were only together maybe 6 months. We did everything in reverse. We're like, we're gonna record, we're gonna go do it, we can do all this. And Vic's like, oh, you guys told us to come in and record. And we played like 3 shows. We didn't know who we were as a band. We didn't understand, like John said, we all knew our individual parts, but we didn't know what the sum of those parts were. And we were still kind of fleshing it out and, practicing every single week and going over, where things should go, and guitar parts were changing and vocal parts were changing and things were getting cut and things were getting put into place. And we were learning about structure and we were doing all of this stuff all while recording.
Wow.
And you knew it was a good take when Vic had like certain words. He'd be like, "Oh, I loved it." He's like, "I liked it. I loved it. It was better than Cats." That we're like, okay, that was good. But the part that he nailed it for, like, we just were fine tuning because we were playing the MOR, the Monsters of Acoustic Rock showcase, and we stripped everything down. But then we started to play things slower. And we're starting to like really get into the individual parts. And because when you're electric and when you're live, there's certain things that you hide with extra noise and fuzz. So we're stripping it all down. And that's when we went in and we did, I believe it was Fear and Loathing. No, I'm sorry. It was 500 million Idiot Boxes. And we started to cut the initial 500 million Idiot Boxes. And Vic goes, oh, he's like, that was perfect. Like that was too good. Did you guys forget this is a rock song? Maybe you want to dirty it up a little bit. He's like, if you can't, that's fine. We'll use this, but maybe make it a little trashy. Maybe remember that you're a rock band. And then he'd also say things like, you guys know you're not a rock band, right? And we're like, thank you. But you just told us we're a rock band. I'm so confused. Or the best was, he's like, you guys are kind of like the Police. And we're like, no, we're not. Not at all. He's like, yeah, in the fact that you're a power trio. And I'm like, I don't matter. He's like, no, you don't matter. And that's fine. I appreciate these are the things. But the best part about working with Vic is he loves good ideas. And he doesn't care where they come from. So, we would make some suggestions or some of the harmony lines and different things like that. Like John would go and be like, I have a really bad idea and I'm going to try it out. And he'd go in there and he'd nail it. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. Or the harmony line for Pretzel Time when Kenny and Tristan were in, the actual station where Vic is hanging. And Tristan's like, and like, wait, we got to go in there and do that right now. And that started to really give this extra texture and gave so much more beauty to the song itself. A song that Vic initially didn't even want us to cut. That did not make the first cut of songs because the original chorus was very diluted as per lyrically. And it didn't quite make sense. He still says he has no idea what the song is about. But, now at least, and Tristan was actually like, hey, why don't you change this and put this here? He's really, really phenomenal at taking kind of like what I have to say and filtering it in on, I don't want to say, like, I know he thinks it's a super art way, but it really is a very pop culture type of way where he'll pull me back from like the super wordy edge and it makes the sound so much more marketable. And I really appreciate that. Now he's going to hate me because he's like, damn it, I'm an artist.
He's not going to hate you because we all appreciate you on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, behind the brand, myself, Prestige, and Easy Bluez. But Easy Bluez is a guest today on Behind the Brand with the infamous Shame Penguin. Guys, thank you again for being on the show. How much of a great experience was it recording live in Technicolor? That's one of my favorite songs by you guys. Okay, since we're in an awkward pause, I'm gonna go right to Easy.
The funniest part about that is that actual song was the first time I used my voice in the recording process. Wow. Initially, the song was already cut and it was already mixed, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, Vic, man, I got to go back in and cut the vocals. I don't believe myself. And with this song is all about believing this message. And live, that song is 100%. The message is there every time. We've been celebrated on both sides of the political scale for that song. There are conservative Republicans who have stated, you say this message so amazingly and so non-judgmentally that I really appreciate that. And it's awesome. So I had to go back in and going back in. And of course, at that point, we had our Coquito dealer, Mr. Jamar. in the studio as well. And he's such a phenomenal vocalist that him being in there and giving me notes, I was pushing myself even harder. And where I was kind of like trying to cheat, he wouldn't allow me to cheat out of that. And I really appreciate that because it was able to push me further and make that believable. Because then I was starting to get ticked off. Remember, we're on terrestrial radio. I started to get ticked off, and I used that anger to fuel me to hit that big thing coming out of the bridge and then into that final chorus. And when you're done, it's just like, yeah, this is what it is. This is who it is. We've drawn a line in the sand, and this is where you have to be. And it was such an incredible experience. Also freaky as heck, because we released that song right at the beginning of COVID, when things started to, and the song is all about pretty much the world burning and all this horrible things that has been consistently happening in the world over and over again. And then the world started to burn. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to Elvis this. Like, how do I'm so terrified that people are like, you released this song just because this, and I was like, no, man, we released this song weeks before all heck broke loose, like, and then to see like on Spotify where the song started to trend, and like at one point the top 5 places were places where the spit hit the fan. And you're like, wow, like this is a song about revolution in a place where, and it's people are listening to it where revolution is happening. And the punk rock in me is like, yeah, they're burning stuff to the song. But then like the dad in me is like, oh man, they're burning stuff to my song. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know what to do. But it was such an incredible experience. And I'm so appreciative to have the freedom to use our voice in the right way. So I think that's dope.
But since you mentioned coronavirus, let's go back in time. Last year, March 2020. You guys pre-COVID, from what you were telling me, Dustin, because you were really excited about just the recent success of the band, then it was constantly getting booked, you guys, like weekly just for shows for Shane Penguin. And then all of a sudden the lockdown kicked in. Now I know, Dustin, I already know about your cabin fever. You were just going a little bit crazy because you are eager to perform. I remember one time where the whole band had to stop you because you were a little bit injured and you had to sit down. Like the whole entire band came in front of you out of concern, like, brother, like, thank you for doing what you're doing, but you got to just take a little pause because that's how you are in performance. You like to run around, and when it comes to crowd participation, you're the guy. But like, you were just feeling really down at that one point. I think that leg or that back wasn't working out, and everybody was telling you just like to slow it down. I remember seeing that one time. But just John, and then we're gonna take it right to Kenny. Just tell me about how you guys were just fighting that cabin fever, because like that performance is just in you guys just to go out there.
Yeah, it's so difficult. So the thing is, before Shane Penguin, I think it had been about like 15 months or so since I'd been in a band, which is the longest it had ever been for me. So I like, when we first got into that space, I'm like, finally, I've got a musical home and some dudes who I can count on. And so when COVID spread out, like, it was really wild. I remember like the last show that I went to was like March 9th or something like that. So I remember people talking about like, have you been hearing about this, etc. But like in the intervening time, like, this is really weird. We, of course, like, we took a couple months off, like at the very beginning, where we were just like, I don't know what this is. Seems scary. Stay away from other people. And during that time was like, all right, I guess I'll just pick this, acoustic guitar out of frame and start learning how to play that or whatever. So we were all just sort of, the term is musicking, I guess, like on our own, just sort of like spinning ideas and figuring it out. And so then around the time when things were getting nice, it was summertime, like the cases were dropping, and we're like, all right, I think we can create a space for ourselves to start to come together, start to play this out. So we ran a space at Sage Sound Studios out in Seymour. Awesome local recording studio. and we're using it for a couple rehearsals. And the great thing about rehearsing in a recording studio is you sound great and you can actually hear what everybody else is doing. So we had this weird experience of us all going home and like, you know, hitting rocks against other rocks, just maybe trying to figure out a spark. But it was when we actually got to bring it back together and process together that we actually got to create a little bit of a fire. And we started writing like a couple new songs, which, you know, we haven't played in front of people in person yet, but we're going to tonight. So we're at 10 Selden, by the way. If it's okay to say that, right? I know the radio is sometimes weird about promo. Okay, great. We're playing at 10 Selden out in Amity this evening, like 6:30. It's an outdoor show. So, you know, have a seat. I believe there's table service, food and drink. So, you know, you can enjoy a draft beer for perhaps the first time in a long time. So, you know, we had this time to like kind of figure out these sorts of things. And it is this weird experience of having to go through like this personal growth yourself and then go through it with everybody else. And then, of course, we had, you know, I think like it's also kind of weird to talk about all this stuff because like, a lot of people have died, y'all. This has created so much pain and misery for so many people. And I don't want to like brush through just like how difficult December through February was for the United States, for Connecticut. So we were just like out of touch with each other again. It was kind of like we had to pull ourselves back from that. And it was not until 11 days ago, when we actually were able to like meet up and play in a room together again. And the first song sounded like garbage. We actually just like really needed to learn to listen to each other again. But by 20 minutes in, we're just like, oh, right, that's Shane Penguin. So it is kind of like if you got a really good friend that you don't talk to for like 4 or 5 months. And when you you text them at the end of that, you're like, I hope this isn't too awkward or anything like that. But in practice, they're your close friend. Like you've been vibing with each other even when you're not in touch. And that was really edifying for me, realizing like, hey, I love these guys for a reason. And you know, even when we're not there for each other physically, like we're hearing each other, we're attuned to each other. That's a rare thing. So I gotta say, like, the isolation has been tricky, but it has made me feel closer and like I value these guys more than I ever have before.
Awesome. Kenny.
Well, the whole COVID thing, you know, it really just bothered me and just wholly upset me because I was just so into just playing and getting into the groove of playing show after show after show after show after show, and then all of a sudden, boom, couldn't do anything anymore. And it's like, well, what do we do from here? And you know, me being a drummer, I always have to keep limber, so I was always practicing and keeping up on my rudiments and making sure that I'm doing the normal stuff that I need to keep my, you know, muscles and arms and legs limber for these guys. But it's definitely been hard. You know, with what John said, we did some practice during the summer, which was great. And then we had another round of COVID that came, and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And right around that time, we did one practice at Cafe 9. And then next thing you know, I almost broke my finger at my work. And so with COVID and then me recovering from a broken finger, you know, it was definitely hard. And that was one of the life-changing moments where I was like, oh no, am I going to be able to play with these guys ever again? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, now that we're actually coming around, spring's coming around, shows are starting to get out there, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm just excited to play out too.
Yeah.
It's going to be great for you guys. Go ahead. Ethan.
No, and that's one of the big things. Like we what I love about these guys in particular is I have a tendency to be as far out there as humanly possible. And they let me go out and do that. So when COVID started to happen, and like we just got $2,000 worth of merch shirts, and I was like, what do I do now? So I was like, I'm gonna film commercials. I'm gonna make some weird parody commercials, and I'm gonna be completely out of my mind and insane. And then they're like, okay, whatever. And I don't know if at first they didn't think I was gonna do it, or they're just like, whatever, we'll see what happens.
I really didn't think you were gonna do it.
Well, here's the thing, I'm probably gonna do it. And that's kind of where I got back in touch with the way that I grew up. I call myself, I'm Carney AF. Where it is that constant hustle, but it's also that entertainment aspect. One of my biggest heroes for his marketing was P.T. Barnum, and creating this extra side show and all these different things. But the only way you can do it, and it's not gimmicky and it's not hokey, right, is if the product that you're marketing is that good. And if the music and the musicianship wasn't as good as it was, I would be a very boring stand up on the mic and just do what I had to do singer. And these guys provide me with such freedom because of how good they are, that I can be as insane as possible, and it's going to spark something. So yeah, you can go check us out on Facebook and up on our YouTube channel for these ridiculous commercials that I plan on shooting more because it was just so fun. But these are all different things that we bring to the table that other people don't. And honestly, it's from really talking with John when he talked about this incredible band. One of the first interviews we had was actually Marks of Acoustic Rock. And that is where I heard, go ahead, I got his finger up. I saw the finger.
Yeah, we're about to close out, so we got about like a minute, and then we're gonna.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about it later. John, you know the band I was talking about.
Yep. It's our secret for now.
Them. Yeah, it's our secret for now. If you want to know more, come to 10 Selden tonight and ask John and I what band we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Tristan will buy you a drink. I mean, he won't, but
you might buy him a drink.
you probably will buy Tristan a drink.
John. And please also tag the social media before we go out.
Well, our social media, you can find us on Instagram, shame.penguin on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Shame Penguin. You can check us out, shamepenguin.com for our website. Bandcamp, look up Shame Penguin. The new single is up there as well. I had to finally, Bandcamp started being mean to me last night and was able to get that up there today. So yeah, it's definitely check us out. But if you're going to do Bandcamp, do me a favor. Don't buy it today or next week. Wait until the 7th when it's Bandcamp fee-free day and buy the single then. But until then, listen to Spotify, listen to Apple Music. It's up on Pandora. It's on Amazon. Listen the heck out of it. Put it in every playlist. Put it in your enemy's playlist. Send it to your best friend, your third cousin 7 times removed. Listen to the dang song.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we just have some technical issues. We can't play the song right now, but definitely check them out tonight. Shame Penguins. You get a live performance of that song on Pretzel Time on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige. Never mind, we got the song on Behind the Brand.
Take me back to when my strings pull your soul, and I felt love, she said. So I grabbed up my guitar to strum the chords that tore my me blind, 'cause you are not mine. So find a new songbird to cover me blind as I finish the moment train. Just enough to walk away with a vision of her smile, a memory I